Happy Monday. Tomorrow is the new moon, and we are officially getting our engines started. Sagittarius, Saturn, and now Mars starting tomorrow. Mercury is now in Virgo for its home signs. The moon will be in Leo as the sun, and so we'll have a grand fire trine. And I thought it was very appropriate to sit in front of the moon. So setting intentions of creativity, of love, harmony, romance, grand ideals, warmth. I mean, here's the sun too. They're in there next to each other. It is a positive time to really take action in your life and to make wonderful things happen that maybe you're taking a risk on, but there's always, there's always room for risk in life, because there's total and complete utter risk, and then there's calculated risks, which are often seen as daring, even reckless. But if you know what you're doing, you are aware and competent of how to manifest, and you set your intentions with the with purpose and with staying power, and not changing directions in between, or at least not changing your intention in between, then you can really start to manifest something amazing. And I think that amazing things are going to start coming about. It's an 8th month. All is fire energy, which can be a little unpredictable, but we definitely have Saturn in this mutable sign of Sagittarius, really kind of keeping us in check, keeping us structured. Sagittarius does rule the military and higher learning, so those are kind of institutions that keep us with a more structured regiment. And then Mercury in Virgo. Virgo is a very everyday, structured business, hardworking sign, mutable as well. And we will have a grand mutable cross coming up. I don't think it's this week, but it will be. So, just something to start to realize that good things are coming, and that the end of the world, or existence, or destruction of society is not actually upon us. We can break down barriers, we can break down borders, we can break down things that are in our way, and create something new in the process as we shift and change. It doesn't have to all fall apart and become debauchery and destruction and disaster, although it may seem like it. So I just encourage positivity, but also reality. Some fire signs can be off into and burning up into too much, over the top. Love you, Leos, but and then Aries are just like same direction until they, blow something up. We Sagittarius have our faults too. Entitlement, egotistical, blunt, rude. I feel like we're more balanced because we are immutable. Oh, this one wanted to pop out. Alright, we're going to have 2. Why not? I think this is a day of reflection, renewal, recuperation before the new moon, before we set our intentions. You know, let go of everything that has kept you in place, that has made you believe something that maybe is not quite right. Maybe we are allowing our minds to still be made up in the same direction that they always once were, without thinking maybe we could do with a shift. Maybe there's something different out there. I mean, this isn't all what life is. Oh, of course. That's pretty good. Life is not all just the same monotonous thing over and over again. As much as they would like to brainwash us to believe, so that we buy things because we're unhappy, because we think everything's monotonous. There's new pathways opening up, and I gotta start out with this one because that's popped out and it was just so perfect. And I love that it's Ganesh and it's an elephant. Elephants are very sacred beings. They just, well, I'm getting tingles again. They just, they are quiet and they're very psychic and they're very slow, but they can, they can run, they can haul ass, but they have like this stoicness about them that really is intuitive. And they can stomp out a lot of predators with their just might. They are the titans of the safari. Titan. So we have clearing away obstacles, protection, and guidance. So you may actually find yourself on a new path because something is now left, something is now cleared. People coming in to help you out. More protection that maybe you didn't think that you were entitled to or that you trusted. Ganesha, one of the most worshipped deities in the Hindu pantheon, has shown up in your reading today as an omen of good fortune. Whatever has thwarted your progress or prevented you from moving forward will soon be resolved. An obstacle is cleared and you are free to move on. Your plans are now able to come to fruition. Know that everything happens for a reason. The blockages you have faced were in fact a blessing in disguise, an act of divine intervention. Timing and circumstances were previously not favorable, and your efforts would have only ended up in disappointment and failure. The path is now clear, and the timing is right. Your stars are in alignment. Hence the new moon, of everything coming and aligning. I am protected and guided by a higher power. When the path is blocked, I take this as a sign to wait. I give thanks for divine intervention. When the path is clear, I move forward with ease. All that occurs or does not occur is for my highest good. So, sometimes people come into our lives as divine intervention. This is one of the things I was thinking about earlier today in my meditation, and how if not for someone coming into our lives and shaking things up and completely just throwing a wrench in anything that we had thought was what we were supposed to be doing, we might have, ended up doing something that was, things could have been worse. Things could have been even more foolish, but because there was like this action or reaction or event, meeting, it showed you a different perspective, because having another person in the mix and throws the energy differently. It causes you to see something different. And that is why it is important for you to know, as a person, you belong anywhere you want to go. Anywhere you want to be, you belong there because you're supposed to be there. Sometimes you are there as a catalyst, sometimes you are there as an observer, and sometimes you are there to be resistance. We all have our part to play. What was it? The victim, the savior, and the villain, or the perpetrator. Those are another 3 kind of aspects of those archetypes. And it's difficult to realize that, you know, we do play those parts all throughout our lives, and we are all kind of just living on a giant stage. And that is why things that happen to us and our emotional upsets are very trivial, although they are also powerful. So learning to understand, it was 11:11 when I said that too. Learning to understand like what it is that the emotions that it is giving you, learning to process them and not let them fester, and then also learning to let go and detach from them as, you know, we move on to the rest of our lives is very important. So, alright, let's do this. Let's do it. Oh my. Oh my. Well, yeah, the moon would show up. Alright, so the overall energy of the week is the Four of Pentacles, the Princess of Swords, or the Page of Swords, and both upright, and the Hangman's reverse. So it looks like we're seeing something that we've been holding on to, or kind of hoarding maybe our feelings. Maybe we've been hoarding or trying to hold on to money. Maybe we feel like we are lacking in some sort. But all about flow. If you believe it'll come in, it will come in. I mean, that's the flow of money. It's very, it's a lesson I had to learn, especially, you know, you can save all you want, and that's great, but you also have to spend and do a little calculated risk to make some more, and let it go so that more can come in. And so the Page of Swords is kind of this immature, very buzzy energy of words, lots of things coming in. You might hear a lot of talk, a lot of back and forth between people. And I think it's starting to see a different perspective. Because, you know, upright, he's turned upside down. So now, after we've turned around and we've seen the other side, now we are right side back up. It also can be hesitant to make a decision about something. So maybe you're trying to decide where you're trying to spend your money because you want to make a calculated decision, and you're afraid that you're going to you know, be immature in your decision making. But I mean, the Page of Swords is upright, so I mean, it's really about just following your logic, following the understanding of what is going to give you the best return logically. Yes, or at least being clear and concise in your thinking process. I mean, and logical in your thinking process. I mean, there's definitely creative pursuits that aren't logical, but can bring you, you know, much in return as well. So for the beginning of the week, we have the Four of Cups reverse, the Moon, and the Page of Rods, which is great. So we have all this creative, highly energetic energy. It's very young, it's fresh, and that's hence, you know, fire signs, all this new moon energy. The Moon, I love this card so much. It's one of my favorite decks. Thank you, Rita. Miss Rita. And it's all about this, like, deep passion or deep emotional, wild, you know, dark and light and kind of watery disposition that, like, is in your soul. It is a very soulful card. It's very like passion, you know, what really drives you, what motivates you, what moves you, that you could not live without, that would basically neuter you if you didn't have it. Because, you know, the moon also, someone said it, one of the other readers I listened to, she said it was like your animal nature, and I thought that was really it was very good description of it, because it's like this deep dark part of you that's like fantasy, like anything could be possible of whatever you imagine in your whole world. And then the Four of Cups reversed is all about moving forward and like letting go of stuff that you've been hanging on to. Four of Cups is all about hang-ups. It's all about like, well, but that's over there, I can't reach it, I just want it. But, you know, you've got all these three other cups in front of you just are not paying attention to, because that one cup is like the holy grail apparently to you, but it's not. These other three cups are just as good. And there's Oliver. So then we go to the middle of the week, and we have the Nine of Swords reversed, Three of Pentacles upright, and the Three of Pentacles upright. So, wow, something is really starting to gestate, I would say. Some skills that we're gaining are, you know, we're not afraid anymore. Look at that. Double. So, you know, we're releasing those fears of what would hold us back, what would, you know, keep us from wanting to move forward and pursue things that would bring us, you know, more skills, bring us more, you know, foundational energy. Because the Three of Pentacles comes right before the Four of Pentacles, and the Four of Pentacles can also be about foundations and setting a solid framework of something tangible and earthly and in the earthly plane. So maybe that's what we're trying to go for. We're trying to really set something stable up. So that's really good. It's a good energy. We also have the, you know, the Mars symbol up here and down here. So that's very exciting. You know, it's very action. It's very persistent. It's also the Capricorn we have down here. It's very Capricornian energy. And it's interesting because the moon is very Cancerian energy. It's a Cancer symbol right there. So then at the end of the week, we have a little bit of a hang-up going on. And that's natural, because when we get started, especially in fire signs, we can have the tendency to overindulge and go too hard and too fast. It's very, you know, Uranus is reversed right now, but it's in Aries, and Aries is all about, you know, war, go for it, you know, flash the pan. So we have the Devil. So careful not to overindulge, careful not to lose yourself fully in this, you know, mystical land of, you know, possibilities that we have thought up, of anything that we could possibly have. You know, it's like we think this and we start going towards it, and then we almost overdo it at the end of the week. It's like, oh my God, and now we've like, you know, that's all. Now we can do anything. It's like, I'm gonna do that. Oh, I can do this. I'm gonna do it all the time. Balance, structure. Yes, I know. Boring. We have the Hermit card as well. So perhaps we're starting to look at those places where we are overindulging. We are going too much, too fast, too quick. Trying to rush. And we also, the Nine of Swords has returned. So maybe we are pulling back because we are worried. Or maybe it's a fear that, you know, everything always seems to go wrong after a certain point. Why would we, you know, try it again? Why would we go put ourselves through that again? Why would we, you know, it's a fear. It's like fear and all these thoughts that are like just trapping you and keeping you awake, making you feel like God, am I doing this again? I don't want to. It seems like the same thing that I've done over and over and over. So take, the time to withdraw and look within at also the card of Virgo, Mercury. So thoughts and Virgo. This is also Virgo's card too. This and the Eight of Swords. I know I have Virgo in my chart. So just, we have the dark and the light here. I have dark and the light. So it's important to really pull within when we feel like we're starting to overindulge, when we're starting to fear what we're doing, that we're never going to make it, it's never going to happen, it's not happening fast enough, and recalibrate. Don't let the outside world tell you where you're supposed to be at any point in time. Like I said earlier, anywhere you're supposed to be there. Alright, so let's do love cards quickly. Oh. Wow. Okay, so there is some kind of understanding or decision or judgment made, because we have the judgment card, about a non-starter. Something that didn't quite, that was blocked. So the Ace of Pentacles, I would say, and we got a lot of pentacles here, so that makes sense. Maybe something that was not available at the time, but now the path is clear. Maybe that's we're seeing what happens. Interesting. So we have Temperance. I believe this is Temperance. Balance. Yeah. Venus and Vulcan. The Two of Wands, right? And the Empress reversed. So now something that may have been over emotional or overly or infertile. It's infertility when it's reversed, or almost misfiring. It's like it could be a miscarrying as well. Something that's just it's not connecting. And so there's a balance, and the Two of Wands is all about pathways and choosing pathways. So I think that there's something that's opening up and starting to become fertile again. And I know we have these reverse cards, but in the context it seems like what was now infertile is now fertile, is now opening up, and there is able for something to move forward. It's something to it's definitely a balance of like a feminine and masculine energy that's needed to move it forward, and or a balance just of temperament and like, am I going to focus on my career, or am I going to focus on trying, I mean, it doesn't have to be so black and white, but it's definitely like we do have to know where we want to put our energies most, and where we want to focus on to get the best result. And maybe that's the choice, is choosing that. And we definitely have this, understanding, this judgment happening. And so I think that this week is going to start a lot of really great things for people, as long as we don't overdo it, as long as we don't try too hard, and flow with the energy. So with that, I leave you, and I hope you have a great week.